Hi everyone, welcome to my pitch, my presentation evaluation. So, my video essay, as you can see, was about children watching adult-themed programmes and what age they should start watching it and what age it's relevant and how it can affect them and how they can start mirroring what they're seeing, maybe with their siblings or in school. I put these photos up here of children watching TV. And the one that I found that I really liked was the one of a kid watching Donald Trump. So that's kind of reflective of what I was saying, what I was trying to get my point across, is a child watching something that they may not understand, and then obviously I'm not saying the child's going to start mirroring Donald Trump, but I mean, you never know. So that was kind of my aim of the video essay. So yeah, next slide. So, this was kind of a little bit that I wrote. While watching TV, it can help a child with many things, such as their speech development and teaching them life lessons. So if they're watching like programs on CBeebies or CBBC or things like that, they do learn life lessons like, oh, don't steal or things like that. But what I wanted to really get across was kind of how when they're watching programs with their parents, they may not mean to be watching these programs, but they are, and it's going, whether it's they're watching them like passively or they are just sat down like fully engaged in these programs, it's still not a good thing. So when we were first given the brief, I wasn't really too sure of what I wanted to do, and I went back and forward from a podcast to video essay to a podcast to video essay, and it took me not ages, but it took me a couple of hours to kind of get my final idea. At first I wanted to do something on the Manchester bombings, and then I wanted to do something on Brexit, and then I thought actually this is a topic that I kind of want to stick with. I think I went a little bit too, I don't know about too broad, but I think it was quite hard to get my point across and having everyone understand what I'm actually talking about. So yeah, next slide please. So my research, I did a survey asking lots of different questions about, so do you let your child watch TV, what age do you think you should let your child start watching TV, what programmes do you think are appropriate, what programmes do you not think are appropriate, and one of the things that I really wanted to find out is how does it affect people later in life. So one of the questions that I did ask was, did you watch any programmes when you were younger that necessarily probably wouldn't have been aimed at you, and how do you think they've affected you now? A lot of people said, oh, I did watch things like with my parents, like a few people said in the 90s they watched like Neighbours and things like that. I think a few people said they watched like certain films that they think now they probably shouldn't have watched. And that was quite interesting to me, because even though they didn't say, oh yeah, it's affected me in a really bad way, they understood and knew I shouldn't have been watching it, and that my mum and dad shouldn't have been letting me watch it. And I was exposed to things that I probably shouldn't have been. But I was talking to one of my tutors, and they said that they used to watch films of their parents, and they used to cover their eyes at certain scenes, and even though they were covering their eyes and they couldn't see, they could still hear what was going on in the background. And maybe them not being able to see it, they were imagining stuff, and what they were imagining could have been worse than what they were actually seeing, and they'll never know because they haven't seen it themselves. I also went on to Mumsnet, because I find that my target audience for this video essay would have been young first-time mums who kind of, I don't want to say stress out about every little thing, but kind of worry about little things and if they're doing the right thing or if they're not doing the right thing. And I know that that's a really good forum that a lot of mums use to go onto and get advice from different mums and maybe older mums and things like that. So I went on there and posted my survey to see what they would say, and I did get a few responses from them. A lot of mums were kind of saying, oh, I don't let my child watch TV at all because I don't want them to be like glued to it, I want them to be able to enjoy their childhood, things like that, which I thought was quite interesting, because I know a lot of like the modern day family all sit around and watch TV together, or if they need to do something, the easiest thing is to just put their child in front of the TV, just sit here and watch TV. I also looked at short clips from the shows that I wanted to look at. So all the shows that I was studying was EastEnders, Coronation Street and Jeremy Kyle. I looked at these short clips because I don't actually watch these programmes, I don't sit down and watch them, but I do know some of the storylines from what I remember from when I was younger. So I wanted to go back and watch the short clips to kind of remind myself what was going on, and I did a little evaluation of each clip and what I thought about it. Also looked at expert articles, so looked at articles of when children should start watching TV, and one that I found really interesting was saying that children should have absolutely no technology until the age of 2, and even when they are 2, it should only be TV and it should only be on in the background while they're having a conversation. Because it was saying that a lot of children now, their speech development and things like that will be really, really slow because they're not used to having a conversation, they're just used to watching people have a conversation, so they're not actually practicing it themselves. So I found that really, really interesting, and I didn't involve it in my essay, but it was a huge part of my research and it did really help me. Next slide, please. So my planning, again, my research. I did an interview with a teacher, a parent, and a teenager. I did an interview with a teacher because, as I was saying, like sometimes things that children watch, they can go and mirror. So they could watch a really violent episode of EastEnders or Coronation Street and go into school and say have an argument with their friend, and they could then go and mirror what they're seeing Phil Mitchell do or something like that. So I interviewed, just interviewed my mum, and I said to her, what do you see in school in terms of when children are acting out and being violent? And she said you can always tell that it's something that they're watching at home, something that they're seeing. She said sometimes it's not just TV, sometimes it can be things like video games or even films or even just, I don't want to say instantly, but even sometimes something that they're seeing older siblings do and that they're mirroring and acting out on. So I thought it was really interesting because sometimes children are very different at home to what they are in school. So that's why I wanted to interview a teacher. Interview a parent as well, to ask them what do you think about letting children watch these certain programmes and how do you think it would help them develop. They actually said I would, because they would be exposed to mature situations and it might make them more mature in the long run, which I kind of understood the point, and I thought, okay, yeah, fair enough, that's true, because if they understand these situations, they won't be shocked by them if they're ever around them in real life. But then I also thought, in programmes like EastEnders or things like that, say if someone has a teenage pregnancy, it always works out best in the end. And I don't think people should be taught that everything has a happy ending, because not everything does. So that was my kind of point of view. And then interviewing a teenager. I interviewed my friend who used to watch programmes like this a lot when she was a little bit younger. And I said, how do you kind of think it's affected you? She used to watch kind of like films as well, and then kind of said, what did you think about the fact that your mum let you watch these programmes and films when you were younger? And she said, I'm happy that I understand certain situations and how, like what the parent was saying, like I understand that I've seen these situations and I know how they can pan out, but at the same time I kind of do wish that I just sat down and watched CBBC and things like that. And then again, clips from the shows. I showed them to the people I was interviewing, just in case they hadn't seen EastEnders or anything like that before, just so them kind of remember. So yeah, next slide. So my problem solving. My problem solving was kind of timings. So I originally wanted to make a 7 to 10 minute video essay, but then I kind of went against it. And I thought, actually, it might be a bit too long and I'd rather have quality over quantity. So I'd rather have a good video essay than a really long one that was kind of rushed and wasn't as good quality. I found it hard to find the appropriate clips, because even though there were loads that I wanted to use, I didn't want to use any that were too violent or too graphic or too shouty or something like that, or even too comedic, because I found a few where it was funny clips. I was like, I don't want to use this. And then interviewing the different people, so it was hard to kind of get them where I needed them to be at the right time. And it's hard to kind of interview the teacher because she was here, there, and everywhere all the time. And making sure they knew what I was talking about as well, that was quite hard. Because I think, especially when I was doing my pitch, I found that quite hard because I kind of felt like I was talking about the same thing over and over and over again and not really getting that people knew what I was talking about. So that was kind of a problem. Can you go on to my website? No, my website. And then, wait, yeah, and then just play. So this is a little bit of the what I made. So that was a little bit of what I made. So as you can kind of see, I put the three main shows that I wanted to talk about. I put their intros in first, and then I kind of spoke about them. I had three different clips, well, one clip from each show, so three different clips. And I spoke over the clips, what I wanted to talk about. One of the problems that I had was I kept on stuttering when I was trying to record my audio, so that was quite hard. And I had to re-record it a couple of times just because I wasn't happy with my own voice and things like that. So, next slide, please. Oh, you can't really see it. So for my action plan, one of the actions that I put down was to improve my editing skills and timings. And I know we're all probably thinking, oh, she's been saying that since year one. But what I actually genuinely want to do is for FMP, sit down and get either one of the tutors or the technician to watch my rough edit and sit down with maybe like an hour and a half and actually go through like nitpicking every little bit, because I have been saying it since year one that I wanted to improve my editing skills, and I think probably next unit would be the unit to probably finally do it. So yeah, that would be my action plan and that would be my goal for next unit, and hopefully achieve that by April and finish. So yeah, any questions?
Well done, Amy. Okay, quick question to begin. How long was the video essay?
It came to 3 minutes 50, I think, something like
that. Okay, so you spoke about, on quite a few occasions, about people not understanding what you was trying to do. So just for not quite a question, just a suggestion.
Yeah.
For your FNP, pick people for purpose. So the people that you interview, you shouldn't have to be worried about whether they understand the topic. You should be picking people because they're specialists and because they're purposeful. And if you interview somebody who is a teacher, but they also happen to be your mum, they're just a teacher.
Yeah.
Okay, in terms of questions then, what was you actually looking for when you was analysing your 3 case studies?
I was just looking for clips that exactly show what I'm talking about, exactly show this is something children should not be seeing at such a young age. And I found it hard because every time I went onto YouTube to try and find the clips, as I say, I either found clips that were just funny, comedic, funny scenes from the shows, or it was just shouting, there was no like violence happening, or there was too much violence, or it was not the right violence I was trying to talk about, or something like that, you know? And then with Jeremy Kyle, that was so hard, because I was trying to find the kind of typical Jeremy Kyle family that go on there, and either the clips were way too long, and if I were to cut it down, it wouldn't make any sense. The person watching my video would be like, I don't quite understand what's going on in this bit. Or it would just be him making fun of the people, and that's not what I wanted to kind of portray. And so that I did kind of struggle with that.
And then just asking, do you think, because your secondary reason actually sounds quite focused, you were trying to watch these clips to get clips to prove to people that this is on for the watershed, and actually your child seeing this unconsciously may have an impact.
Yeah.
Do you think it's your primary reason to actually?
Obviously, it's hard because this is just like a thing that I was talking to someone about recently. It's hard because I don't feel like there is any music for children other than like If You're Happy and You Know It. But like the songs that they're hearing on the radio, you can't actually help them hearing them. But at the same time, there are no songs specifically written for children, like why would there be? But I think at the same time you can kind of control what they're listening to at the age of 5. Should they really be listening to, I don't know, Kanye? Probably not. But some kids are, because it's what they're hearing their parents listen to. So I think yeah, you're right. But then at the same time, that comes back to I didn't want to make my subject become really broad and go into random bits that I didn't really need to go into. But I do agree and think, yeah, sometimes it can be.
Constantine?
Do you feel that you analyse the subject fairly?
I think I was a bit biased because I knew what I thought, and it was hard to get out of that mind frame. Sometimes when people were saying to me, oh yeah, well it might make them a bit mature and they might get some morals, or they might see like a teenage pregnancy and think, oh I don't want to go through that. But at the same time, I always came back to the opinion of, yeah, but it's still a TV show, and they might sit there and think, oh look, everyone's pitching in to help that girl, that will happen to me. Whereas that might not happen to them, and that's where it always came back to, I would go straight back to my opinion, which I always tried to get away from, but it was quite hard.
It's a really good question, Constantine. I think you knew that it was very biased, because you guys said they won't understand what I was trying to say, but it should have been about the for and against of the topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Well done.